Welcome to the Fantasy Golf Bag Podcast, presented by FantasyGolfBag.com, your number one source for the most in-depth PGA Tour analysis in the daily fantasy and sports betting world. Each week, our experts will discuss everything you need to know, from the course preview and key stats to top plays, fades, and strategies. Whether golf betting, grinding out cash games, or playing for a big GPP win, our team has you covered. Let's get after it.
Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of the Fantasy Golf Bag Podcast. Hosting tonight, it is Axis, and I am joined by Skylar of the Golf Gurus to give you a quick breakdown of the Made in Denmark tournament over on the European Tour. And what has sparked this special edition podcast as well is we are releasing what we've been working on for the European Tour, which is rolling stats for the European Tour. So if you follow us, you know we already have the rolling stats for the PGA. We are now releasing the same thing, strokes gained stats for the European Tour. Sky has been working on digging up a lot of this, so I will kick it to him. Sky, are you ready to release your love child to the world?
Absolutely, Axis. It's been a blast kind of digging in and learning more about the European Tour over the last year and figuring out exactly kind of how the stats work and how these players really have aligned over the last year and where we've seen kind of this direction go with the website and Fantasy Golf Bag. And, you know, it's a critical portion of, you know, what I think the professional golf element is playing across the pond. And you'll see a lot of these players progressing or playing both PGA Tour, European Tour, but fortunately for us, DraftKings offers specific European Tour contests, quite a bit smaller in prize pool. But, you know, we really have spent a lot of time working on these stats, specifically the strokes gain metrics over in Europe, focusing on individual tournament strokes gain metrics. So you'll see those exactly how we portrayed them on the PGA rolling stats that me and you have been doing for years now. You're going to see that on the European Tour side. We're going to offer specific European Tour only stats, 5 tournament, 10 tournament this season, as well as an integrated stat database, which has the PGA and European Tour together. So we're going to have that. It's obviously going to be on the PGA side as well. So you have the ability to see players when they came over in the PGA Championship last week on how they were playing in the European Tour lead up, and then mix that in with their season so far on the PGA Tour, which is extremely valuable. And then again, to dive into this new beast of European Tour as well, we're going to have the weighted course history, which is a great element for those course history truthers out there to figure out how these players are playing on a specific course relative to their baseline over the last year or 5 years, whichever you're kind of looking at, the year specific. And then we will also be having our strokes gained putting splits as well. So specifically over the last year, looking at the surfaces used in the European Tour, or if they play in the PGA Tour, those same putting splits will be applied for that. So, I mean, again, we've worked really, really hard at this, and this is kind of a niche market that we're looking to exploit, and really happy to offer this to all our premium members and really dive deep into our premium Slack chat and ask these questions and dig up some of these gems over here playing in Europe. So yeah, I know I spent a long time talking about that, but we are extremely excited.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely helpful, especially if you've always wanted to dip the toe into the European Tour, because navigating their horrid site can be a real pain, especially to find what you're looking for, whether it's what type of grass they'll be putting on if you're into that, or even just digging back through the old tournaments if you want to see how guys have done. And like you said, the strokes gained is pretty new for the European Tour. I believe they started releasing, last April.
Yep.
So some of that, obviously, we don't have quite the number of years as we have on the PGA Tour, but what we have will definitely be a great help. So as you mentioned, go over to Fantasy Golf Bag and become a member now. You won't regret it. You can have all the Euro data and the PGA data. You can have one or the other, both, your choice. Go check it out, and let's dive into the Made in Denmark, the 5th major for our boy Lucas Bjergaard.
Absolutely.
The fan club of 2 is here to talk about it. So,
hopefully more will come on board after we hopefully see him lifting up that trophy again.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's played at Himmerlin Golf and Spa Resort. They did not play it here last year. They skipped a year. I believe they played here from 2014 onward. I know they used it as a challenge tour course as well. So I went through. I really didn't find too many what I would say are direct comp courses. This course is 6,851 yards. Relative to par, it's 0.7 strokes above, 288 driving distance, 56% driving accuracy, but an extremely high green regulation of 67.5%. So kind of similar to what we see on the PGA Tour side this week. Low accuracy, but high green regulation, which makes you think that the rough isn't that penal. It is a linksy style course. The wind couldn't be up. That is the defense. The 2 that stuck out are the course they played last year for this event, and which is Silkeborg, and then Aberdeen. Royal Aberdeen actually they had very similar driving accuracy, green regulation within 10 yards of the driving distance. So if you want to go look at comp courses, those are 2 you can look at. So I think this could be a birdie fest as well from what I read. I don't know what you've seen on this course at all, Sky.
Yeah, it seemed in 2016 and 2017 the scores were significantly lower. So if we look over the 4 past winners, Mark Warren won in 2014 at -9, David Horsey at -13 in 2015, and then Peters won in 2016 with a score of -17, and then Julian Surrey in 2017 won at 19 under par. So you see them almost 10 strokes more than under par than what they were in 2014. Peters, Surrey, both obviously longer hitters. The cut was always over par. So like you said, you're still seeing this not play under par on a whole level, but yeah, it just seems, I mean, like you talked about, the rough doesn't seem crazy penal. The wind is its true defense. But yeah, it's probably going to turn into a wedge fest and who can putt.
I mean, isn't that crazy though, that the green regulation percentage is almost 68% and the score to par is 0.7 strokes above. Like
for sure.
I mean, I know the Euro Tour isn't exactly full of the best putters. If you've watched, you would know that. But that, I don't know, that seems crazy to me. So it should be a fun one to watch.
There's some incredibly short holes too. Like the par 5, hole number 5 is 472 yards. It's like an automatic birdie.
Yeah, and I know they have like a little built-in natural amphitheater par 3 that's like 125 yards that they kind of, I guess it's like
it's their waste management number 16.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be interesting. Hopefully you guys can catch some of this on TV. So let's jump into the top of the field. There are 5 guys above 10,000. We have Matt Wallace at 12, Peters at 11, and then Jordan Smith, 10.6K, Lucas Bjergaard, 10.3K, and Eric Van Rooyen, 10K on the nose. Who is your favorite golfer of the bunch?
I think you got to play with the hometown crowd that we talked about, Lucas Bjergaard. I mean, after making that hole-in-one on, what was that, 16 or 17, coming down the stretch on Sunday at the PGA Championship, rolling in with that high momentum. Truthfully, when it comes to be a birdie fest, he is someone that I always love to play. And, I mean, Wallace, obviously phenomenal form right now. I wouldn't argue against Wallace, but getting up there on that price is extremely difficult for me to do. You're sacrificing quite a bit to get up to 12K. So if you're getting that discount a little bit, only paying 10.3 for Lucas Bjergaard, who I think is a superior player to Jordan Smith and Eric Van Rooyen, in my humble opinion. But so that's, for me, I'm going to lean Bjergaard, especially on his home course there.
Yeah, I am as well. When you go look at even just their last 50 laser rounds and their last 100 rounds overall, I mean, they're within a tenth of a stroke of each other on differential. That is Wallace and Bjergaard. So, I mean, I don't think Wallace is playing that much better to be 1,700 more. I mean, if you want to go, I don't know. I don't know if people will pay up. So maybe you can get Wallace at a lower ownership. Maybe Lucas will get the hometown ownership. I don't know if people know he's from Denmark.
I thought that at the British Masters too with Tommy, because Tommy was 12K, I believe, at the British Masters.
Yep.
And again, these prize pools are quite small, so you run contests. Like if you play anything above like $100 contest, you're gonna run like a 20-man, maybe a 12-man if you're in the 275. And I played the 275 at the British Masters, and Tommy was like 55%, which shocked me. So people didn't seem scared to pay up for Tommy. I know it's a different caliber. But yeah, maybe people are, and I even tried to play around with a few lineups of Wallace and Bjergaard, but you're gonna have to sacrifice all four guys under 7K pretty much if you do that.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck for
navigating that minefield. Yeah, I honestly I don't think you can go wrong. Most of these guys have been playing pretty well. I really like Jordan Schmitt too. If you didn't want to play like if you want to pivot off of the hometown guy, I would go to Jordan Schmitt myself. So
okay.
When we get down into
and people before we even go to the next one, I know we're gonna talk about everybody, but people saw EVR, top 10 the PGA Championship last week, and he's in great ball striking form. So I again don't think you can go wrong. It's just where my heart lies is where I think Lucas is the best birdie maker of the bunch.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll dip into the 9K range again. There aren't many golfers priced here, only 5, and my personal favorite, I will be avoiding the hometown guy here, and Victor Dubuisson is he's my highest rated guy of this group and one of my higher rated guys in the overall model in general. Tee to green game has been excellent over his last 20 rounds, driven mainly by approach. He's 90th percentile in the field in approach, gaining almost 0.75 strokes per round there. So the ball striking in general, he's just been crushing it. So, and with greens is easy to hit. I mean, he's even been good there. Like he's gaining strokes in all the major categories. So at 9,200, I think Victor would be the guy that I would look to in the 9K range. You?
I'm having a tough time in the 9Ks because I do agree with everything you said on Victor. I just don't know if he has the birdie ability. He's been so good at avoiding bogeys. I mean, if he finds that hot putter, I agree with you the way he has came back from his injury. And for those that don't know, he missed virtually, I think, about 18 months with an injury and just came back as of recent, this early spring. So he's been playing great, but I still think I lean Thunder Bear. And again, maybe that's a home bias, getting, maybe 2 Danes in there. But just the caliber of player I think he is. And I mean,
he is a better birdie maker, but not when I went and looked at the year-long weighted birdies, he wasn't a ton better than Victor. I mean, Victor wasn't great either. I think he was 80th percentile, and Thor was upper 90s, if I remember. But it wasn't like a huge difference.
And Thor, I mean, he made the cut at the PGA Championship. He's been playing in majors, for the last 2-3 years pretty consistently. So I just view him a level above. And again, it's tough because I was like pretty heavy on Jorge Campillo and got absolutely crushed after he shot 9 over in the opening day PGA Championship. So it feels weird when he was like the leader price-wise of the field 2 weeks ago, and then he goes and misses the cut by a mile at Bethpage, and then come back here and he's 9,500. So I think that would be my 1-2, Bjergaard and then Campillo in the 9K range.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know who my second favorite would be. Maybe even Dietrich. I don't know. These guys have been playing very well. So
for sure. And Dietrich came back and played after he withdrew. I think he withdrew from the trophy, or maybe it was Volvo. I think it was Volvo, and he came back and was healthy at the British Masters. Played all 4 rounds, I believe top 20 maybe even top 10 there. So he was good health-wise if anyone's worried about that withdrawal.
For sure. And then, so when we get into the 8K range, this is where it gets interesting because there are a lot of names in here that I've been willing to play all year. except for Paul Dunn, I have no effing idea why he is 8,300. But I bet against him already this week. I took Kurt plus 105 against him. I honestly have zero idea why Paul Dunn is this expensive, but I think I've won 3 straight head-to-heads, 3 straight weeks betting against Paul Dunn. So
I
there's
like it. I have zero interest in Paul Dunn.
But anyway, I mean, Bjork, I'm pretty sure Hebert will be very popular this week. Crocker, Sullivan, they've all been playing very well. So who's one of your 2 favorite out of the 8K range?
Did you say Bjork, the greatest iron player in the world?
Yeah.
You got to make sure. Hopefully Wiley hears that.
Greatest iron player in the world who got almost DFL at the PGA Championship.
Yeah, I have. Are we sticking just above 8,500 right now? Because I got one in the low 8Ks. No. But okay, so I'll talk about all 3 that are for me. Benjamin Hebert, and then he's probably my favorite. Definitely, I think I'm going to be on him. I believe 45 to 1 is still the number out there.
I assume he'll be pretty popular in general, but for good reason.
Yeah. Again, that's the one thing that if we can learn a little bit more on the European Tour side is to try to gauge ownership. It's extremely difficult. But he is coming off a missed cut at the British Masters. But he blew a 3-stroke lead on the final day at the Volvo. He ended up losing to Miko in the playoff there. His ball striking has been great the last 3 events that he's played, gaining over 1.8 strokes per round ball striking in at least the last 3 events for him. And again, he just fell to not a great putter at the British Masters, why he missed the cut there. But he has shown success at this track. And to me, I would be playing him as well as Sean Crocker. And I know you were on Crocker when he ripped our hearts out at the Trophy Hassan at like 3% ownership and low 7Ks is what his price was there.
He did cash the T5 that week.
For sure, he did.
Pretty big number.
For those that have ever watched him or hopefully get a chance to, he is unbelievable with the driver. Like, one of the best, I think, on this, and this is his first year off at the Challenge Tour. So look for him to really make some noise again this year. But I really like Crocker. And then I'm going to go with another Dane at 8,100 and Soren Kelsen. I just think this kind of track fits exactly.
The form.
For sure. He was 3rd in birdies at the British Masters. He had a top 15, which was his first real high performance in the last probably this part of the season. And this is the kind of guy he is. For those, he's like a less than driver track. You make putts, you get to the green, you play well in the wind. He's had top 10s at the majors in those gross years. At the Masters, he did that Willett year. I think he finished like 7th. This guy can contend, and he loves playing at Himmerland and his hometown crowd. I don't think there's a bad reason to go Dane, and play Bjergaard, Olesen, and Kelsen to start a lineup. I actually think it's kind of fun to play with that narrative. I don't know if I'll end up going there, if I'm going to go single entry, which I'm looking at this week, but I really like Kelsen.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about any of them since you hit them all pretty good. I do like Andy Sullivan, though, a lot at 8,600. The tee to green game has been pretty outstanding. The weighted birdies has actually been pretty solid, too, 92nd percentile. Pounds the ball, 300 yards. So I think, getting a lot of wedges in his hand will do him well. And especially, if you watched that awesome par 3 video he made.
That was unbelievable.
Guy was dialed in. So I know he had hundreds of shots, but, that shouldn't be the only reason you play him. But the wedges are there. The weighted greens and regulation, I think there's a lot to like. Linksy style course. I definitely can see using Andy Sullivan in a couple lineups this week. So we'll jump down into the 7,000 range for another couple guys. Are you going to be playing Burned? Get another Dane in there?
No Burned for me. I think it'd be just below if I'm going to go someone. This is your boy. I'm not even sure exactly. You might be better with the pronunciation, but I think it's just Langus, right? Romain. Dude has been.
I've never. I can't tell you exactly. I would go with Lengasque, but I'm.
Ooh, okay.
He is French, so I would assume it's Lengasque. But
so he was someone, again. I think he's a tremendous driver of the ball too, and got a little test of links-ish at the or true links at the British Masters. Again, this is kind of a what they say Parklands style course, so a links-ish. course, but he's just been playing extremely well this year. So if you look in the European Tour stats, if we're looking specifically at that, his strokes gained field differential on the year, so that puts him, let's see, ninth on the entire European Tour. In this field, strokes gained field differential at 7,800. I think it's tremendous value for someone who's playing so well. So if I'm looking for high 7Ks, he's going to be my guy.
All right, yeah, I've played a lot of him this year. I actually prefer two others in this range. I actually was going to maybe prefer three, but they're lower. I know Karamura had an injury, and you said he played an Asian Tour event, what was it, last week, and just sucked?
Yeah, so I believe it was an Asian Tour, but yeah, he missed the
I was
cut,
looking for.
I mean, it was a terrible field.
Yeah, he'd been playing very well too, so that did scare me off enough to see that. But I'm gonna go even further down to our boy Bobby Mack, Robert Mcintyre.
Oh, yes.
Again, another ball striking god of late. I know we both bet him already at 125 to 1 as well. Crushing it tee to green, mainly doing it with the irons though, which is what I want to see coming into this week. 295 off the tee, pretty accurate guy for this field anyway. Yeah, and he gave it a run there
at the British Masters. He almost did it.
I thought he was going. I took a stab on him live too, just because I thought there was a chance. And Wallace gave him a chance with that putter.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, but Kinault with the balls approach.
Dagger, yeah.
Huge. God, I don't know how many putts have daggered me this year between Euro and PGA from a guy hitting it from like, I don't remember exactly where that one was, 12 to 16 feet, somewhere in that range.
Right about, yeah.
Just, they say that guys miss those more than 50% of the time, unless I have a bet against them.
Yep.
Whether it was Mitchell hitting it, Adam Long hitting it.
Yep, those are the two I thought of too.
God, I can't forget it. So maybe I'll get one. Anyway, back to Bobby Mcintyre. Just 7,300. I think it's a steal for how he's hitting the golf ball right now.
I like Victor Perez quite a bit as well too, down at 7,100. He's gained the last two times out, British Masters and Trophy Hazan, over 2 strokes per round ball striking. He's really good off the tee as well. But he came out, if you look at some of the short courses that have been played early on in the year, like the Hong Kong event was very short track. Last week, British Masters, or 2 weeks ago, was very short track, and he showed he got a top 3 at the Hong Kong event, and the 15th, the British Masters. So for 7,100 in triple digits, I'm going to be on Victor Perez as well. I really like him, 7,100.
Yeah, my next guy will be Oliver Wilson at 7,300, and I haven't pulled the trigger on a bet, but I've been debating it. Just overall, the ball striking in general is not great because his off-the-tee game is not great, but with as short of a course as this is, the approach is good enough. He's good around the green, and he's good on the greens as well. And he puts it out there 283, so I'd assume a lot of the off-the-tee loss is from distance, but with the shorter course, it may not hurt him as much. And I think I'm gonna. The recent form's just been pretty solid, so I think Oliver Wilson's another guy I'm gonna look to down here to fill out some lineups.
And he's just a true talented guy. I mean, if you look at the way he's popped on some of these links tracks, I think he's got a great track record. So no, I like him as well. The one worry, so people often follow, because there's not a ton of people that are truly dedicated to the European Tour, like ourselves, or potentially like Ben Coley is one of the big names. I know that was one of his big bets this week was Oliver Wilson. So potentially a little bit ownership there, but I mean, Wilson has 2 top 10s in his last 4 events. So in a 5th and a 3rd earlier this fall, great player.
And so I know when we get down into the 6,000 range, I know we are both going to have the same guy. So I will let you speak about him, and then I'll throw another guy that many people, including myself, have rarely ever heard of spoken. So feel free to talk about Guido.
I mean, the absolute boy. So if you run off this list of my top 3 guys in the world right now, Brooks Koepka, obviously number 1 after what a performance last week. So Brooks, number 1. Lucas Bjergaard is number 2. Guido Migliozzi would have to be number 3 on my charts. I mean, again, we're going to talk about this every single pod, but like his victory at the Magical Kenya Open was purely magical. And this guy, it's incredible how good his ball striking is. Like it's hard to express legit like how phenomenal this guy is getting tee to green. I mean, you look at
it's
the
incredible.
Numbers.
It's equally incredible how bad he is at putting. Oh my
Oh
God.
wait, yeah, no, without a doubt. But if you look, so in this field, we're talking again a quality European Tour field. He is third in strokes gained tee to green in the entire field. Of strokes gained ball striking, he is fourth. And again, you're looking at someone who's 6,900, always triple digits. It's just to me like what I'm going to always be placing that bet. I know the Magical Kenyan Open isn't the Players Championship, but like he's my Siwoo of what you'd look at over there. And since he's won, he's made every single cut. So and truthfully, he's still continually extremely low owned. So I'm going to keep pounding the Guido drum as long as we can.
Oh, I will be too. I have to point out, just because of how insane it is, over the last 40 rounds, he loses 1.5 strokes putting per round. Like, he averages losing almost 6 strokes. Like, that's insane. That is all-time bad. Like, he could actually, he would literally contend if he was even losing
average,
just 2 strokes.
zero.
No, not even average. 2 strokes a round.
A tournament, yeah. Yep.
It boggles my mind watching him play golf. Like, I'm glad we were on it when he won, because that might not happen again if that flat stick doesn't figure it the fuck out. But at 6,900, I mean,
if there was
the upside is all there.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, for 6,900, absolutely. And a birdie making, like he's a very, very good birdie maker. So he'd be where, again, I'm planting my flag at 6,900 and definitely betting that number 2.
Yeah, and so the other random name that just stuck out when I was just kind of going through the approach numbers was Nino Bertazio, and he's 87th percentile in approach. He's $6,700, but what kind of stuck out was he's 300 yards off the tee, so he's long. So he's losing all these strokes basically from his shit accuracy, but as low as the accuracy is here, the green and regulations are still extremely high, and his weighted green and regulation, he's 70th percentile in this field. So I think if you're looking for someone to take a stab on 6,700, Nino could be a guy, and you will be one of the only people who plays him.
I need to take a little minute to talk about one guy who's Guido light. And I do not recommend playing this guy in any lineups, but we're gonna continually put T20 bets on him because he is right now 650 to 1 to win. But he has led tee to green on a per round average the last 2 events that he's played. Missed the cut in both of them because if you think Guido's a bad putter, this dude is like Ricky on the greens. Comparing Guido to Ivan Quintero Gutierrez, who qualified through European Tour Q School to make it on. But he is, if you look over the year, if we talk about strokes gained tee to green on the European Tour for the season, Ivan is, let's see here, in the field for the entirety of the season. I'll pull it up one more time. He is 6th. So again, you're looking at 6 for someone who's 6,100, 650 to 1. And again, he led the field. He missed the cut both times, but led the field in tee to green in his 2 rounds that he played. But he is literally averaging negative 2.78 strokes gained putting per round this season. But wonderful. This was exactly what we looked for in Guido leading up, and Guido was these massive numbers as well. So I'm just going to put a T20 bet once Bovada offers them at probably like 30 to 1, maybe even a little bit higher if we're lucky. And I just think it's worth doing that because these numbers are legit absurd.
I mean, I'm going to do it just because, but yeah, it is pretty crazy that you can be 92nd percentile in this field in ball striking, and I know it's not a big sample, but yeah, to lose that many strokes putting, like I haven't seen him play or any. He's got to be missing every 4-footer he has.
I would love to have European Tour shot tracker. Could you imagine? I wouldn't be able to sleep because these dudes would be just putting it to 3 feet and probably three putting. He's worse in three putt avoidance on the tour. I mean, he's worse than putting. He's 0 percentile. But like, oh, I couldn't imagine.
There's not many things in sport worse than like having your Euro guy need to make a putt and he's 5 feet away and you still think he's gonna miss, and he normally does.
Mm-hmm. So I pulled up. I know that's kind of a synopsis on this. I did pull up the weather over there, and we're looking at sustained 13, at minimum 13 mile an hour winds all day long on Thursday. Sustained at least 15 mile an hour winds all day long Friday. Gusts above 25 on Friday, gusts above 20 all day long on Friday. So we're going to get some winds. Yep. So again, we talked about a lengthy track already. Sunday's got gusts up to almost 40 miles an hour. There's literally no sustained winds below 14 miles an hour all week long. So this is going to be, I mean, we talked about a lengthy track, like already in that sense, and now the wind is its true defense. So we might see some wicked scores out there. Cut's always been over par. So maybe, I mean, you talked about Dubuisson in regards to just how well he's been teed to green. Potentially that bogey avoidance stat may be more important than I'm thinking about when we're looking at this wind now.
Yeah, potentially. I'd still focus. Like, even in the lower years, it was what, minus 10 to 12. So
yeah,
There's still going to be some scoring, but it's never going to be an easy track. There's just seems to be a couple of guys who figure it out. You know, kind of like Brooks and DJ last week. Two guys figured it out.
For sure.
Not that I'm comparing this to that. I don't.
And there was a big there was a big Sunday collapse last time when Surrey broke through for his win. So you're going to see some shakeup again. The Sundays in the European Tour. If you got a third round leader bet out there, like it's literally you wake up early. If you're on the West Coast, I mean, you set that alarm early. But this is already going to lock tomorrow night. I don't know the time zone Denmark's on. Do you?
No, I have not looked yet.
So they haven't updated. Just for those who are playing, just an overview of kind of European Tour DraftKings. It is wildly different from the PGA side of things. I mean, you're really like jacked up about a 5-6 most of the time, especially if you have people lurking around that top 20. I mean, you can win some contests out there with some bad lineups if you're getting low-owned winners or low-owned T5s.
We've cashed some 3 out of 6s this year,
which is insane. But like you think about Qatar. Like I remember cashing the 3 out of 6 Qatar because I had Justin Harding at like the only person in the high dollar ones to have Harding that week.
And the field, the contests are smaller, so it helps that obviously you're not playing 20,000 person GPPs.
And even the $5, the small one, like it's not a big thing. So I'm looking right now. It is currently 6:24 a.m. in Denmark. So
6 hours ahead.
So right now
Eastern
it's time. Yep. So you're gonna get locked probably right around 1 a.m. I would say, maybe a little bit before 1 a.m. On Eastern Standard Time, and that makes for good appointment television when you wake up, because that's gonna mean the back nine is definitely around breakfast on Sunday morning.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Sky, thanks for joining me to talk about the Made in Denmark and our release of the European strokes gain stats on the site. Once again, if you would like to get access to all of this and everything we talked about, you can do so by going over to Fantasy Golf Bag. There is a new header there specifically for Euro DFS. You get the 5 and 10 tournament year-long strokes gain snapshot, field weighted course history, strokes gain putting overview, everything you want. It's there. PGA and Euro combined if you fancy, or just the Euro stats, your choice again. Go over to Fantasy Golf Bag, check it out, become a member. And once again, Sky, thank you, and hopefully we see some green screens from the Euro side this week.
Amen. Let's look forward to it.